Hey guys, hey everyone.
What's going on, guys? How is everybody doing? What's going on? Aaron, is it Desi? Is it let's see, we got Aaron, we got Bao. Is it DC? Gianni, Justin, LP. What's up, Ricardo? Rita, Sam, and Kim and Davey. What's going on, guys? Thank you guys for being on. I appreciate your patience. We're going to start in the next couple minutes. Let us know in the chat if you are a first-time home buyer or if you are looking, if you are a buyer. Just give us the heads up so we can know like who has questions to ask. I know some realtors are in here, some appraisers are in here, some investors are in here, but if you are a buyer, you have questions. We want to make sure we answer your question first since you guys are not in the industry. I want to make sure you are empowered with the right information. In the comments, we have Reframe, which is Keena's team. That's the team I mainly work with with our buyers, and then we also have Mitch, who is pretty much my all-star on my team. On top of just giving great advice and being patient and being a really good-looking guy, he's also very good at helping strategize what's best for you and your family. A lot of times, you throw stuff, people just want to get, here's your basic loan, basic loan, basic loan. He doesn't do that. He literally sits there with you, not sit there with you, like, he's there with you on the phone, going over with you different strategies so to make sure that you get the best thing, the best deal possible. Okay. Anything you'd like to say, Mitch? Mitch, you there? I guess Mitch is being shy guy, or he can't get his speaker on.
Oh,
Uh,
he messaged everybody in the chat though. He said
okay, cool.
hi.
What's up, Jay? How you doing? Lorraine, what's going on, Lorraine? Lorraine, are you buying your first home, or is this gonna, or you bought other homes in the past? And also, you're buying. Let us know. Are you from sunny California? So we know you're at least on our timeline. I feel bad if I have to, if everyone's on the East Coast, so I'm gonna rush through it, rush through it, rush through it.
Oh
So
yeah,
where's
they're
it?
gonna be exhausted.
Yeah, you're not from California. You'd be like exhausted. I feel bad. See here. Is the chat going? You guys got the chat going? Oh,
Oh,
here we go.
Elk Grove. That's yeah, nice. Okay, Lorraine bought a home
Okay.
in the
You know
past.
me, my sense of direction is bad. Elk Grove is where? You know?
Bay.
Bay, okay, cool.
I hope. I think it's in the Bay Area. Yeah. Um, but I was in Southern California. Where in Southern California? LAOCIE?
Hey, so in California, Val, please don't say Westminster. Are you from uh,
Orange County, nice.
if it's is
Fountain
it Bao Win?
Valley.
Is it Bao Win? Bao, I think is a Vietnamese name. That's the reason why. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's
Well,
funny because I saw his name sign up and I double checked because I know a Bao Nguyen and I was like, let me see if it's the same person. It's different Bao.
and then we got Lorraine from Long Beach. And we got Bao. He's Fountain Valley. Cool. Fountain Valley close. Okay. Bao's from Fountain Valley. Lorraine's from Long Beach. You know what? Long Beach got the best Thai food. And it's crazy to say that. Like Long Beach, for some reason, has got the best Thai food around here. They're opening Thai restaurant from Long Beach in Orange County, but most of the time it's Long Beach. Oh, and then Kim is from Stanton. Wow, man. Stanton, I know it's close to Cypress, right? I think they got that the best the Orange County's number one burrito is in the city of Cypress, inside a Home Depot, I think it is.
What? I've never heard about that.
Yeah.
Stanton has that new construction though. That one's always interesting.
Yeah.
Bigsby.
All right, guys. We got 3 minutes before we start. Does anybody have a question? If you have a question, the next couple minutes, please ask. We want to make sure, we get through everybody's question. So before we, finish it off tonight, if you have a question, please go ahead and ask us the question, and we will make sure that someone reaches out to you guys today. Also, in those areas, what you guys know, there's a new rule that just got released. So there's a little sneaky trick people are doing. Um, when a home is listed, they have to put it on the market right away. If they don't, they can't market it on Zillow and Redfin. But because of that, sometimes they put the boo-boo pictures on there because they're trying to keep it from regular people seeing it. So definitely reach out to Keena today and get on her special home searches. Because if the house hits the market and there's boo-boo pictures, at least Keenan will know, hey, I like this house might have some boo-boo pictures, but it's a really nice house. They're just being sneaky on the pictures. I'm not gonna say who my buddy put up some boo-boo picture just so that no one looked at it. And you if you find the old pictures, like, dude, this house was amazing. He just put up some fake, no, it's like think about this is recorded. He did put up the most, appeasing picture of the house to keep people from looking at it. And then he listed the house. How crazy, how shady is that? Oh,
That's so shady. Also, the worse the photos, the better the deal. That's in my
yeah.
slide deck. But yeah.
So guys, if you like, hey, I want to find a house, but I know people are getting kind of deceptive of what they put up. Keena's home search will kind of like, hey, I like this one. Is this boo boo or not? She'll like, hey, here's the real pictures. So definitely, guys, get on that home search. Also, if you're buying new construction, Keena also has a list of the all the builders in Southern California. If a new phase drops or a new home is going on discount, when I say discount, let's say someone goes out there, they want to buy new construction. All of a sudden, they put all the bells and whistles on there. Last minute, they want to pull out, or they went too crazy on the upgrades and they can't afford it anymore. They pull out. And when they pull out, what the builders do is they drop the price. And what they do is they send a beep, 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 beep alert to everybody. And whoever's the first to get there, then they do a huge price cut. So if you're interested on getting on her new construction list, please comment the word new so we know it's that you want to get on the new construction list. Also, Keena, KB Homes reached out to me to do a deal with me to get, so I was going to talk to you about.
Oh,
So
I just did one with them.
yeah. So they're reaching out to try to offer me the ones that are on the market that are they can't dump at the end to do something with it. Whatever that means. So it's the ones that don't sell, the ones that sell at the end, they're trying to move on to the next project.
Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
We should
So
chat. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I did a social media thing with them, which was
I saw,
interesting.
I saw. All right, guys. Thank you guys once again. I know it's Thursday night and I know, you're tired, but you know what? We got some secret gems for you and we're going to unload it tonight to help prepare you to buy a home in 2025. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Min Win and, I'm from What's a Mortgage, which I'll go to intro in a second. And of course, I'm hosting this with my number one agent, Keena from Reframe. She's going to go over the home buying process. I'm going to go over the mortgage process with you. Also, at the end of this, if you're like, man, I'm too tired, I don't want to take notes, I'm just watching from my phone, it's okay. We will send you the slide deck after we're done tomorrow. And then we're also, what else, Keena? Besides the slide deck, the home
We'll
buyer
send the slide
guide
deck and the video of the recording.
and the video recording. Okay. All right. So you'll have all of that. So relax. You can watch this. If you have your kids running around, it's okay. You will get the video and all the stuff afterwards. So you can go ahead and just enjoy yourself. All right. So buying a house in 2025, it's a big commitment. Because it is a big commitment, I want to mainly go over homeownership. Because some of you guys are like, do I buy now? Do I wait? Or should I even buy a home? Okay. That's the questions that you probably have running through your mind. And today I'm going to share with you my story on how home ownership saved my life and my family's life. Okay. If you know, you see my picture. So this is my mom and dad. My mom wears glasses all the time anymore. She thought it was cool because she saw Diddy back in the day. I told mom we can't do things because Diddy does it anymore. But she wears sunglasses because she saw Diddy. I know it's weird. So this is my mom, this is my dad, and this is my brother, and this is me. He got the high metabolism gene. I just got the mouth. Okay. So this is my family, and I'm gonna go over how home ownership saved my family. Okay. So before we start, add a little tint of pink right here. My name is Min Win with What's a Mortgage. Some of you guys are new to the channel. I've been a professional in the industry for over 20 years now. I started as a loan officer and worked my way to a manager and owned my own branch and had about 100 loan officers under me. Through my career, okay, my clients and consumers kept on asking me the same question over and over again. And I realized there was a lack of information out there. So today I want to empower you. And then in 2017, I started focusing more on making sure that I gave you all the tools you need to make the toughest decision, giving you uncertainty in the biggest decision you're going to make in your life, which is home ownership. Okay. So this is my parents' house, the actual house. My dad bought it in 1990. Okay. So before my dad decided to buy a house, even after he bought a house, years later, I'm like, Dad, Did you not love us enough to make sacrifices, to take risks to put us in a better position? I thought that about my dad. And years later, I realized like I'm the biggest piece of crap son. My dad does not take any risk, by the way. He does everything by the book, never takes risks. But the biggest risk he took in his life because he loved us was to buy a home. Imagine 1990, right? We can go back to 1990. He bought this home for 160 grand. Doesn't sound like a lot right now, but back then 160 grand was a lot. He had to go 10% down FHA. I think his rate was like 11, 12%. So rent was not 500 bucks a month. So his biggest risk, which a lot of you guys are thinking in your head right now, I'm paying X amount for rent. My dad was paying 500 bucks a month for rent. And he went out and took on a $1,500 mortgage, three times his rent, right? My mom's side of the family talked so much crap on him. My dad and his family talked a lot of crap on him. We didn't understand growing up, but he took this risk, and we didn't realize the risk that he took. It saved our lives and changed our lives growing up. Without this home right here that you're looking at, I don't know where my family would be. And I promise you, fam, you're going to look back at it years from now and realize, man, if I didn't buy this house, where would I be? Imagine some of you guys in the comments let us know, are your parents homeowners? What would happen if your parents didn't own a home? Okay. I see a lot of people kind of like talk about home ownership. Like, well, you can talk about not owning a home, but what happens if your grandparents or your parents did not own a home? We had a guy talk all this about. I'm like, where are you living now? He lives at his aunt's house. Does she own the home? Yes. How can you live so rent free if your aunt didn't make that risk? So imagine the decisions you're making today. Some of you guys are first time home buyer or first generation home buyers. Just understand that whatever decision you make today is going to echo for your whole life. And that's what my dad did. He bought the home in 1990. And he didn't realize, we bought the home. He was like, man, was this the right decision? 95 comes around. My dad gets laid off. Probably the worst thing that ever happened to an immigrant where English is not your first language. Trying to find a job is hard. Okay. But thank goodness he had this home. The one decision he made, which another risk, which my mom shames him for. I remember my mom shaming him for this, right? He took out a home equity line of credit. It's like, we can barely afford this $1,500 mortgage. Why would we get a home equity line of credit? I talk about it in all my videos. Get a home equity line of credit. Because when he got laid off, what we did? We lived off of that home equity line of credit. Okay. He used his unemployment check to make the payment. He got a job again, and then 96, boom, he gets laid off again. So we're going through this vicious cycle. But what saved us is this home. 97 kicks in. My mom gets laid off. And now it's just like, will this ever end? That's what they were thinking in their mind. I remember sitting in my room, 17 years old back then, like, yeah, old, right? Back then. And I hear my parents fighting. And if it wasn't for the equity of this home, we would have been homeless. Because think about this, you can't make your mortgage payment. That means you probably can't make your rent payment. But we had the equity to live on. And thank goodness for unemployment, we were using the unemployment to make the payment. So imagine the home that you buy today. You might not think about that, but years down the road, what happens if you get laid off? But at least you have your home equity line of credit. What happened during COVID? Okay. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but there are mortgage forbearance out there. During COVID, the people that were the safest were homeowners. They didn't make a mortgage payment for almost 18 months. And all of that money was stacked in the back. So if it's a nationwide issue, the government steps in. I think, this is just my opinion. They might step in again and bail out the market right now with buying these bonds. But if you own a home, no one wants to be the president. Doesn't matter right side or left side. I don't really care. No one wants to be the one to say, hey, the housing market collapsed on my watch. So there was a big bailout. Okay. Now, when people are getting laid off, they have mortgage forbearance. But imagine if you don't own a home. Can you go to your landlord and ask for forbearance? Most likely not. So homeownership saved my family significantly because we have the home equity line of credit. Fast forward 2005, like every immigrant, my parents wanted to own a piece of America. Okay, my parents, of course, opened a nail salon, a hair salon, and nail salon. We used that equity line of credit. As we paid down, we just used it over and over again. We were able to tap into our equity to preserve our family from being homeless. Now we were able to use it for the American dream. We opened our own business. Man, we were excited. Things were great in 2005 until 2006. My mom had some heart condition. She had a heart condition. Insurance, I'm going to talk about the video tomorrow, didn't cover the surgery. The deductible wasn't enough. So guess what we did? We kept on tapping into our line of credit. Because what happened over the years, we bought it in 91, 2006, homes kept on going up in value. Yes, there are dips in the market, but because there's not enough homes out there, home values kept going up. And as we started making more money as a family, you're right, we were able to tap in there and pretty much kept my mom alive. And you don't know when you're going to need it. But if you have that home, you can leverage it. So it saved my mom's life. That's why I believe in home ownership because you don't know the next issue that's going to pop up in your life. But because you have the equity to either get a line of credit, refinance, or maybe even sell, it can bail you out of the issues you're in. You might not think about it now, okay? But later on in life, when you need that lifeline and your relative doesn't want you to loan you the money, some of you guys have parents that don't have the money to loan you. I have to take care of my parents now. But at least you can rely on the equity of your home. And that's why it's so important for you to understand you're not just buying a house, you're getting yourself a lifeline. 2019. Woo! My parents retire. Okay. Think about this. 2019, my dad was collecting 2,400 bucks a month for Social Security. My mom's 700. Of course, my mom, she because of her heart condition, she didn't want to go back to work. She claimed Social Security earlier so she can get the full amount. Of course, this was like back in the day. It's like 3,000 some change and 900 bucks now. We had a balance of 350,000. But think about COVID kicks in, okay? My parents, they could barely have that money. We had a reverse mortgage. We got a reverse mortgage. The balance was 350. The home is worth like I think like 575. My parents will never have to worry about mortgage payment. No one could ever kick them out. All we have to do is cover their property taxes. There's even a special program called ALISA, a loan expectancy set aside that can cover their taxes. So since 2019 moving forward, my parents have not worried about a mortgage payment. Yes, the balance is going up. My brother and I, that's our choice. But now they live off of their money. We give them money. They can live a peaceful life. At the end of the day, when they do pass away, I can either refinance the loan in my name or sell the house and my son gets it. So home ownership didn't just save my family from it didn't just save my family from being homeless. It created us a business. It saved my mom's life. Now my parents are retired. They travel the world. Literally, they've been to like almost every country. They're seeing parts of the world they never see. But if it wasn't for this house, knowing that they can go to a home, not worry about a mortgage payment, they're using their social security as children, right? As you guys are, the stress about having to take care of your parents. Yes, when times are good for my brother and I, we take care of my parents. When times are tough, we can't. But guess what? We don't have to worry about them not having a place to live. And if times get hard for my brother and I, which it did happen once, we moved back home and we didn't have to worry about a mortgage payment or rent payment. So that's why how homeownership really changed our lives. And it can do the same thing for you. And I tell you guys this because, as you make these decisions, just understand that your home is a lifeline. Say it with me. Your home is a lifeline. It's just not a place you rest your head. Okay. So, at the end of the day, I just want to wrap it up. Is home ownership saved us, my parents, from unemployment, my mom from a heart condition. Okay. She would have passed away. Okay. If from financial struggles that my brother and I went through. One thing I didn't talk about here, I had a business that flopped. We used this home and a loan to pay off the debts so that my brother didn't have to file BK. He was in the military. Okay. And you know what? I used this credit to start this business that didn't go well. Thank goodness for the line of credit. I was able to pay it off so he could still continue on with his life. So how much home ownership can do for me as I was learning it. And now I'm teaching you and empowering you so that you can do it for your family. Okay. So the main thing today, what home ownership can save you from is inflation. Everyone know how inflation works these days? I feel like since COVID, and since with everything going on with our country, everyone became an economist or economist, right? Economist. So just understand, everyone knows inflation. So imagine how much was rent before 2020? How much was rent last year? What do we know about rent every year, guys? It goes up. Nationwide average, rent goes up about 3% a year. Just like in 1991, rent was 500 bucks a month. Okay. With 3% inflation in 30 years, you're going to pay $6,000 a month for rent. That's 72 grand a year. Say with me, guys, 72 grand a year. So if you have a maxed out 401k, you have to pay tax later on. Most of you guys have, if you're W-2, most people have, you know, a retirement that's going to be taxed later on. You are going to have to pull out 100 grand a year out of your 401k after taxes just to pay the 72 grand. So that's one big thing homeownership is going to save you from rent continually going up. Especially in California, we have Prop 13, which doesn't allow our rent, our mortgage, or property tax to go more than 2% a year. Texas, different story. Okay, so that's the first thing homeownership is going to save you from is inflation. Next, understand, the sooner you buy, the better. We're at a place in our life right now where are rates? They're hovering in the sixes and seven. Right now, 32 million households can afford to buy a house. Now, some of you guys, well, let me wait for rates to get down. Think about this. A couple weeks ago, rates got to what? Six and a quarter, 6.375. 3.900 or 800 more families qualify to buy. So as rates pull back lower and lower, you're just bringing more buyers into the market. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to push prices up. So just understand if you qualify today, when rates pull back, we'll show you, you could refinance and drop your payment. Or what happens if values don't push up? They're not building more homes. And look at the inventory. Currently, we have 900,000 homes on the market for sale. When it was a buyer's market, it was 1.3 million. So we're missing 400,000 homes to be back to a buyer's market. As rates pull back, the seller market will get stronger and stronger. So we need almost 50% more homes to be listed on the market for sale. And currently, well, there's going to be people letting go of their home. Mortgage delinquencies, not multifamilies, is at 3.5%. So the delinquency rate is not going up. If they were, I would know because I have a lot of my investors, they buy 30-day lates because they need people to become late before they start approaching them. So that's not happening. So we're in a market right now where, you know, they can't keep the Fed fund rate where it's at. Rates are slowly improving, not as fast as we wanted to, but they are improving. But as rates get lower and lower, more buyers will come in the market. As you can tell, there's not a lot of active listings. Well, when the market pulls back, more people sell their homes. Imagine this with inflation, 40% of the homes in America don't have mortgages. They're older people who probably aren't looking to sell. And then the other 80% of the 60 that have mortgages have rates under 5%. You think they're going to sell? No. It's going to take a lot to push more people in the market to sell. Okay. So right now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you qualify? Would you buy right now with today's rates, even though you qualify, or should you wait? And we showed you if you wait, it's just going to get pricier and pricier. Remember, guys, we live in an era of subscription. Netflix, everything. Homeownership, not homeownership, like what's it called? Shelter. It's all subscription. So the longer you wait, unless you have that type of money to pay cash, it's just going to get pricier and pricier. So let's say you want to wait 20%, okay? Here's my demonstration, 5% versus 20% down. For those of you, I'm going to wait. You have the 5%. And I did this with this couple one time, like, oh my gosh, it hit me at like a ton of bricks. Like, oh, the waiting was a bad idea. 5% down today on a 725 house. Okay. I know homes are a little pricier, but I had to do a mid-range nationwide, like all of California. We don't know who in California is on here, but if you want your custom scenario, please message the word Mitch. And Mitch, if you see anyone message Mitch, can you please get them their own custom scenario so they don't leave tonight like, well, I didn't get to my scenario. Maybe my purchase price is higher. Maybe I have a bigger down payment. Comment Mitch, and then he'll give it to you, okay? So think about it. You buy this today, 725, 5% down. All in, your payment's 55.42. But remember, once you have 20% equity, it falls off. It's going to save you $109 a month. That's 54.33. Everyone write down 54.33. I'm going to do this slide differently next time. 54.33. Okay. And your loan balance is 688. Okay. So let's say I'm going to wait. If you waited 4 years later at 3% appreciation till you save the 20% down, look at your purchase price. It's not 725 anymore. Was it 725? Let me see. It's not 725. It's 816 at 3% appreciation in 4 years. Your down payment is 20% down. You're out of pocket. Think about this. You're at 180 out of pocket. You're at 50,000 out of pocket. So that means you got to save 130 grand. Okay? 130 grand in 4 years. Let me know in the comments who can save 130 grand from 50, right? 130 grand in 4 years. You are a super saver, okay? That or you dropped an album that went platinum, okay? Like Drake just had a new album. Oh my gosh, if you anyone listen to Drake, Drake's new album is fire, okay? So 130 grand in 4 years. To get a loan amount of 652. Okay, look at that. That's crazy. Payment 5404 compared to 5433 buying it now with your 5% down, with 20% down. That's crazy. But look at it. If you bought with your 5% down 4 years later, what's your balance? 656 compared to 652. It's a $4,000 difference if you buy now and 4 years later, as you make your regular payment, it drops. See, waiting, as you guys know, and for everyone who tries to fight you or argue with you, you can see over the years it just hasn't gotten better waiting. So the longer you wait, that's the equity you might need to save your life in the future. If my dad didn't buy 91, he bought later on, we probably don't have enough equity to pretty much live on, to start a business, to save my mom's life. So the longer you wait, that equity that other people want to buy is going to keep going up and up. So you want to make sure you get in where you fit in as long as you qualify. Okay. Ways to get a cheaper payment right now. So you guys, man, I want a cheaper payment. Okay. So if you want to go through these payments again, like, hey, Mitch, just comment the word Mitch if you want to see your permanent buy downs. So scenario number one, depending on the market you're in, okay, Kina, you can say, Kina, I want to see homes that are on the market over what? Anything, Kina, anything over 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we should ask for anything. So original, right? So 725, payments 55.42. If you can get a 2 point buy down today, it's gonna save you $337 a month. Okay. So if you can find a way to get the buy down, let's say the seller can pay. Anything over 3 weeks, doesn't hurt to ask. Okay. Let's say you don't want to do that. Maybe you might want to increase the purchase price. Instead of 750, 765, you ask for the buy down. You're going to save $244 a month. Okay. There's other ways to get the payment to come down just a little bit more to make things a little more flexible for you. Okay. Or third scenario, just like what most people are doing. People who bought the last 3 years, they refinanced a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago. Think about this. You bought at 6.75, rates dropped to 5.75 because you know rates are going to keep coming down because the feds have to cut the rates. Okay. Right there, your payment, about $340 a month. If you buy now, refinance later on. But remember, the thing I didn't change on here, let's say it takes a year, 2 years. What's going to go with your value? Your home is going to go up. Your PMI is going to get cheaper or fall off if you have enough. I did this one like, I think a year later or 6 months, a year later with a little bit of equity. But if you waited out longer, you might not even have the PMI and the lower payment. That's how the rich get richer. They eventually refinance in the cheap money because they understand this is a subscription game. I think some of you guys don't understand that the goal is to get it cheaper. Also, like, well, I don't want to be in a mortgage forever. You can do a 28-year fix if you've been in for 2 years. You can do a 25-year fix. You don't have to go back to year one. It all depends on what your goal is. Okay. Mitch will go over that with you. So a lot of times you can also use permanent buy downs to increase your buying power. If you don't have $50,000, you might have 15 grand. So look at this, 725 with a 2 point buy down, 5505 went at what, $70, but increase your buying power by $50,000 with 15 grand. Okay. With 20 grand instead of coming up $50,000 more. So if you have your own custom payment, you want to see yourself and use a calculator, you can go ahead and click on the QR code. It's our Techie Lender calculator. You can do your own payment. But I highly suggest you reach out to Mitch and get your payment breakdown. All right. So if you do want to buy a home, like I said, I think it's the best thing for you. It saved my family. It can save your family as well. I look at my mom every day, and if it wasn't for her, I thank my house for my mom. Right? I thank my house every day because that's probably the most precious gift I had was we were able to use our house as a lifeline. Now I've empowered you on how to buy your home, why you should buy your home, and also how to get a better payment. Now, where do you start? There's three different stages you can start from, depending on where you are. Nothing's a rush. But if you're like mid, I'm ready to go, hit up Mitch for an underwritten approval. They do a hard credit pull. Your credit report's good for 90 to 120 days. We verify everything with an underwriter first. Okay. And you can, once it's been verified by an underwriter, you can go out there and shop and just know that I would start clearing my conditions as you're shopping. So when you go to escrow, the loan is done. Okay. I need to update this. So self-employed now, there's also underwriters are reviewing self-employed income and bank statements for those of you who want to go with a bank statement loan, but do the underwritten approval up front. If you're like, hey, I'm not ready for that yet, but I still want to see where I am at, you can do a DU approval. We are going to run credit, but this is when the loan officer just looks at it. If you mean business, underwritten approval. If you're just really just taking a look at things, you can do a DU approval. But for those of you who I just want to know where I stand to put my budget together, and Keena's going to put me on a home search. I'm just not there yet. Do a soft pull. It doesn't hurt your credit score. We know where you stand. We ver sorry about that. We verify all income. Now you can make the little tweaks to prepare you for home ownership. Okay? This is what Mitch is going to ask for. Anything else I'm missing, Mitch? You can jump in and say it. Sorry, I think I choked on a sunflower. Last 2 years, W-2, 2-year tax returns, 30 days pay stub, proof of funds. If you're on fixed income, a reward letter show proof of your income, okay?
Credit, income, assets. That's it.
That's right. So, Mitch, if you're like you would like this list sent to you, let Mitch know. He'll send you a needs list with a loan application. Like I said, let him know. We just want a soft pull. It'd be nice if we just look at it all because you don't know. You know how often people reach out to me and the home of their dreams pop up and they were just barely off from qualifying? It happens so often. You want to make sure that you are ready when that home pops up or when rates pull back. When rates pull back, most loan officers are going to run and make sure they get these refinances done because they're moving quick. You want to make sure you're ready. Do the soft pull. If you do the soft pull, do me a favor. You don't change your profile, which means you don't go out there start racking up credit cards or you start taking days off of work or being inconsistent with your pay if you are self-employed. Okay. Make sure everything stays consistent because you don't know. Dude, that is probably the number one heartbreaking story. Someone sees a house on Zillow or a relative offers to sell them their house at a discount or with like some like a gift or something, and the home slips out of their hands. Or actually recently there was a couple in their neighborhood, they missed out on the home they wanted to buy. The credit just wasn't there yet. So we just had to make some tweaks. By the time we tweaked it, they already sold the house. So be careful of that. That's why you talk to Mitch and you get that soft credit pull. Okay. See here. Oh, Jesus Christ on here. Okay. If you guys want, we also are giving out, you'll see it getting your email, the ultimate mortgage guide, pretty much everything I've gone over, but the details of credit, income, asset, what credit score you need, all of that is in our guide, which you'll get. Okay. For some reason you don't get it within 48 hours, please send me a message. I want to make sure that you have everything you need to start the process of homeownership. Okay. Homeownership, remember, guys, what is your why? My dad's why was our family. The one risk he took, okay? This guy doesn't even cross the street unless he sees a full green. Like if I see a blinking red or blinking green, I'm crossing. My dad plays by the book, but his why was so big. Is your why big enough? Also, what is your budget? Be honest with yourself. Have Mitch help you out with that and make sure you work with Mitch and Keena's team to make sure it matches up to your budget, the area you want to buy in. Make sure it all matches up first before you start pushing forward. Maybe you may need to move out further away, or maybe investment property might be your first property. But you need to know your why, your budget, and make sure your budget matches the area you want to buy in. Okay. Make sure, like I said, credit is verified, income verified, assets verified, and budget verified. And then you get on your local agent's home search, especially now. Like I said, people are using some boo-boo fugazi pictures. Redfin, Zillow, I don't trust it. Yes, it is cool. I get on a local agent home search because if a home hits the market, you'll know right away. Redfin and Zillow, it might be a lag because it's a bigger server. Okay. Let's say a home is already sold or it's already pending. Redfin and Zillow, they won't tell you that. You know why? Because they want you to keep on searching on there and hitting the button so that agent reaches out to you. So sometimes homes are already sold or they're in escrow. How would you like to be hyped on a home? You send it to your spouse, they're showing everyone at work, and all of a sudden it's already in escrow. You're like all bummed out. You imagine in your mind, like, oh, I'm going to park my car here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Your local agent is going to have everything you need to make sure that you are up to date if something hits the market or sold. Okay. So last but not least, hopefully you enjoyed all the information. If you're not following me, which you should be, that's how you got here, right? On Facebook and Instagram at AskMinWin. All right. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. If you have mortgage questions, please ask in the comments and I will go ahead And let's put your hands together for Kita DeSantis. She's going to come in and go over the process of um, the real estate side. So she's going to go over everything you need to know to prepare yourself on the real estate side. All right. If you have more questions, please go ahead and ask.
I am gonna share my screen with you guys. Okay, can you see everything? Everything looking good, Min?
Everything's looking good.
Okay, nice. Thanks, Min. That was super. I feel like there's new information every time too, which is nice, because it keeps me updated, which is great. I'm Kina. I am a realtor here at Reframe. I actually own Reframe. We're a boutique here in Southern California, but we're really home buyer focused, especially first-time home buyers. We've actually helped over 200 first-time home buyers in the last 5 years. And I want to say like a way over 100 of those are actually with What's a Mortgage. So Mitch is our number one guy at What's a Mortgage and with Reframe. So we are a very tight team, which is great. One other thing that I also wanted to mention to you guys is like we're really great with first time home buyer grants. When there's a grant program, we pull together and like really figure out how to make that happen for our buyers. So we've actually achieved over $1 million in home buyer grants just between those 2 years, which is crazy. This is the team. This is Reframe. That's us in our office. We've got 10 agents. We're all over SoCal, but we also have a larger network of 50 states. So if you guys aren't here, we are happy to make a recommendation to another full-time professional realtor, and somebody who will provide you the information that you're seeing here and make sure that you're being guided correctly. I'm going to jump in to the home buying process, and then at the end, we'll answer some questions. Like I mentioned, we've helped over, 200 first-time home buyers, 300 buyers altogether in the last few years, 4 years actually. But because we've done that so often, what we've found is that we have like this three-step onboarding process. We call it the buyer foundations. And what that really means, buyer foundations, is that we're just setting up the numbers for you guys, figuring out all of the information that you need to be able to make a good decision with what you're looking to do, whether you're going to buy today, tomorrow, or in a year from now. So, buyer foundations, step one is to talk to an agent to get some ideas, get an idea of the information that you need. As agents, you're probably going to have questions for us, and we're going to be able to answer them and give you the notes that you need for your process, whether you're going to buy next month or in a year from now. We're also trying to figure out if there's any flags that we need to be aware of. If you tell me you're a nurse, I'm going to ask you what kind of income you have and make sure that when I introduce you to Mitch, I'm flagging that for you, right? And that we have the information on that. If there's anything that we need to know about your home search that's important for you, that also keeps us aware. As agents, we also have access to so much off-market inventory. So if we know that you're looking for something, even if it's going to be in a while, at least it keeps our ears open for opportunities for you, which is one of the best ways to get a good deal. So step one, talk to an agent. Step two, let's get your numbers. So what I love about the What's a Mortgage team, and this isn't just plugs for them, this is the reason why we work with them is because they are the best for this. They really understand the process and they're no pressure. The same way as agents were no pressure because you don't want to be pressured into a property. You want to buy the best property for yourselves. So what does that mean? When you get your numbers, you don't need to run that hard inquiry. Min mentioned it just now. A soft pull is also a really great option just to get an idea. Guess what? When buyers do their soft pull, when they're, running their numbers with Mitch, you might think, oh, everything's great. I have like an 800 credit score, no problems. Guys, when they did my soft pull on my credit score, when Mitch helped me buy two properties in the last few years, there was something on my credit score. It was like a $35 bill from my hospital doctor that I didn't even know that I had. So even people who like I would call myself a responsible person, not really on top of my stuff, miss things sometimes. And even my most responsible buyers have things. That's why that soft pull is very important. You want to be able to have the time to get the things done that you need to do and not be rushed when that dream home comes on the market. And then step three is setting up a Real Scout account. Real Scout is like Zillow and Tinder had a baby, okay? It's directly connected to the MLS where I, as an agent, get all of my listings. So it's all of the information that I have that I pay a lot of money for that now you guys have access to. And so what we can do on Real Scout is set up a really specific search. So you're looking for a 3-bed, a 2.5 bath. Well, do you want a garage? Do you want laundry in unit? Do you want air conditioning? What's important to you? Let's narrow it down on that search and keep that filing system together and also collaborate together. Real Scout is a collaborative tool that we can use to send you options that you guys might be missing. If that's something that you guys want to set up, what Min has mentioned is it's super important for you guys as buyers to know what's going on in the market and just to get on a home search. If you're not going to buy in a year, you can still be on that search and get a feel for what's going on in the market. You're just like casually training your brain to be aware of what the opportunities are so that when you find an opportunity, you can jump on it. So that's the third step after we get numbers from Mitch. This is how we onboard 100% of Reframe buyers. Unless you're a cash buyer, then we don't need a loan, right? But this is basically the way that I would recommend whether you're buying here, Alaska, New York, whether you're buying today, tomorrow, 2 years from now. Do these three steps now so that you have this information and you can just sit on it. Giving yourself this extra information is just training for the future so you can subconsciously figure out what your steps are as you wait over time, or actively figure out what your steps are. I'm going to go into some misconceptions that people have about different aspects of real estate, and then I'm going to tell you what the reality is. Like I mentioned, this process is super important. Okay, so finding the home, when you're actually searching for the home that you're looking for, this is what people think on the left side. People think, oh, you find your home and then you go get pre-approved. That's not the case. If you want the best home on the best street in the best neighborhood with the best quality, that home is still going to go very fast. It doesn't matter if you're looking, it doesn't matter if you're looking in a good market or a bad market, depending on how you want to think about it, right? Those homes are still going to go very quickly. What is important is that you have your numbers in mind. We like to have our buyers give their documents to Mitch, get that soft pull. So if they're like, actually, we are ready to start shopping, all they have to do is run their credit, do a hard pull, and then we have the pre-approval. That's a lot easier than trying to round up a bunch of documents when that best home is on the market and now you're going to miss it. Nothing hurts like losing that home that you wanted to make your future home. A lot of people also think an offer means something big. An offer is just a starting point to a conversation. You can always change it. You can always, start strong or start not strong, depending on what your goals are. But an offer doesn't lock you into anything unless you go non-contingent. All of my buyers have contingencies, okay? You as a buyer, you get contingencies. That means that if something goes wrong with the inspection, with the loan or the appraisal, you get to pull out and you get your deposit back, which is usually around 3% of the purchase price. So if you're buying $1 million home, you put $30,000 in and you're protecting that $30,000 until you remove all of your contingencies. So that's how that all works together. The offer is just a starting point. It doesn't mean anything serious until you remove those contingencies because you can pull out and get that money back. And a lot of people think that it's impossible to get your offer accepted or even really hard. Sometimes it is really hard. Today we got a buyer in escrow. It took like 5 different people and different connections just to make that happen on this really popular home. But also, I'm hoping tonight we get another deal in escrow that this home has been on the market for a while. It just depends on what you're looking at and what the situation is. Nothing was as hard as the 2021 market when every home had 50 offers. I don't think we'll get back to that point in any time soon in the next decade or two. So everything after that is a lot easier. And there's, like Mitch said, it was super rough, right? But it's a lot easier now, and it's really about your team. I think what we're seeing in real estate with the, increase of more professional agents and a lot of agents leaving the industry who are maybe part-time or not serious agents is we're seeing like a level of professionalism rise in the industry. And if you have a professional team, your agent, your lender, that's how you get your offer accepted. You have people who are representing you and putting your best foot forward. I don't even care if it's us. You got to hire a professional. That's the key, right? They're literally vouching for you. All right, tips for house hunting. Let's talk about finding the house that you're looking at. So you're going to find homes on Redfin, Zillow, Real Scout. The best thing, like I mentioned, is to be on a collaborative search with your agent. Real Scout's the best one, hands down. That's what all the best agents use. There's other ones out there too, but you want something where you're getting the information fast and it's collaborative because good deals happen quickly. They don't take a long time, right? So when a good home comes on the market, you need to be prepared and you need to be ready, and your agent needs to be prepared. You're also going to get those highlighted properties from Real Scout that they're highlighting for you. And also, I mentioned off-market properties. Right now on the back of my computer, I have a whiteboard here. I have got 7 off markets and another potential 10 off market transactions. We're sending those to our buyers. I have an email going out to all of the buyers that we're working with. You guys actually might get that email if you're in Southern California from me now that we're, meeting here. Those off market opportunities are great options for you guys to get a deal before other buyers get to see that house. That's the value of also working with an agent who's a professional. They have opportunities for you. Some tips to keep in mind is an agent who's localized. They have the specifics. They have property specifics. They know about the community. Um, Min said to the don't overlook homes with bad photos. Guys, that's how my husband and I found our first house. It had the ugliest photos. There were also no photos of the inside, but it was like the guy took it like this, it was like totally random and unprofessional. That's how we got our home for a crazy number. We bought it for 435. Today it's worth 750, and that's only been 5 years. It's like very close to doubling in the next year or two, which is a wild opportunity to have been in. And that's also part of the reason that we bought that property. The agent didn't have photos. We decided to check it out. And my husband thought I was scamming him, my own husband, but we saw it and we loved it and we bought it. I highly recommend. The worse the photos, hit your agent up. We can actually look in the history of the home too and see if there are any past photos. But remember, what do bad photos mean? It means the listing agent's lazy, right? Or the seller just doesn't care. And if you have those two things, it also means that they're not trying to get the highest price. They're just trying to sell it. So you want to get a good deal, go look for the worst photos you can find or no photos. Also, when you like homes on Real Scout or Redfin or Zillow, or if you send your listing agent or your buyer's agent a home, we can go and pull information for you that's only in the MLS. People don't realize there's information in there like death on the properties, property has a solar lease, um, property has an Airbnb permit, right? There's gold in those notes. Not every home has gold in the notes, but there's gold information in that notes that you as a buyer need to know before you waste your time driving somewhere to go see a property. And so that's what, we're trying to give you. And the last thing I want to mention about house hunting is if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. A lot of buyers see these homes and they're like overwhelmed by how amazing it is. And there's usually something that happens with it, right? So a home will be listed really low, but the description won't be filled in, and I'll get it sent to me by like 10 different buyers. Well, then I look into it. It's an affordable housing property. You have to have a family of 4 and make less than, $80,000 a year, which is a very small population who's also going to go put 20% down on this home because that's what they need to buy it. So there's these really tight situations that we need to be in for some of these properties. They're really too good to be true. So that's what I also want to caution you on. Still send it to your agent, but don't get your hopes up if you see something that feels insane. It probably is. All right, let's talk about showings. You're going to go to an open house. You're going to have a private showing if they don't have an open house or you can't make it. Or if you're buying a multifamily, there's probably no showings on that house. They have a tenant in place and they want an offer before they actually show the property. Why is that good for you? People are afraid to offer on a home because they think that it's permanent. But you and I now know that we've talked about it. If you offer on a home, it's just the start of a conversation. You can change that offer after you get to see it, right? So that's how you're actually going to go check out those properties. As far as information you should know, when you go into a property, still go in with an open mind. Don't talk about everything you feel and think out loud. Sellers have cameras. My sellers have cameras. They call me all the time and tell me what the buyer said. And they're using that information to evaluate who's a good buyer and who's not a good buyer. Also, when you're in an open house and there's a home that you love, some people don't want to talk to the listing agent and tell them that they love this home. Well, when you submit an offer and there's 2 offers and it's you who told, or one person who told the listing agent that they kind of like it. And another person who told the listing agent that they're in love with this home, who do you think that listing agent is going to have more confidence in? So you make an impression on that agent as well. Your agent also should be making an impression on that agent. You just also want to be upfront with your agent. Have those conversations and tell them what you don't like about a property after you leave. My favorite thing to know about a property isn't what you love, it's about what you hate. Because a lot of times you can create what you love, but the things that you hate about a property are very difficult to change. Paint, flooring, lighting, that's easy. But if you hate the layout, you can't change that. If you don't want to be next to a school directly across the street, you also can't change that. So these are the things that, just want to put on your radar when you're talking to your agent and actually checking out properties. Let's talk about submitting offers. This is what the actual process looks like, okay? You're interested in a property and you're like, hey, Kina, Reframe, we want to put in an offer. I go, got it. We're on it. I call the listing agent and I'm like, hi, listing agent. I just finished showing your property. I wanted you to know we loved it. We're working on an offer. Any info about the property? Why are the sellers selling? And I start a conversation with that agent. I want to know why the sellers are selling. I want to know if they have any other offers. I want to know why the property's been on the market for a long time, or was there a tenant in the home? Did the sellers live there? Then I want to find out what those other offers look like. What are the numbers at? What do we need to do to make this offer happen? What are the terms that are important? I pull that information. I send you, the buyer, the scope. I make my recommendation, and then you guys tell me where you want to offer. Then we write the offer. I send it for signature. At Reframe, we package our offers up. We put a little cover page on there. We write a nice email complimenting the listing agent so that they hopefully forward it to the seller instead of, just tell them what the offer's at. We want that seller to also see we have a professional email with a cover page and all the information that they want to make the escrow process easy, and we ship it off. That's the goal, right? When you're putting in your offer, waiting for too long can kill a deal. Okay. Waiting for too long means another buyer has a chance to come in and swoop on that property. It means somebody else might come in at a higher number, or somebody came in at your same number and now you're negotiating against each other. You lose your leverage when there's multiple offers. And so sometimes being fast isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing because you can get that property off the market. Things change quickly, you know? So being the first one and being fast about it is not a bad idea. Other tips to know when you're submitting offers. It can be a competitive market. Don't be discouraged. If you know what that five or $10,000 difference in price range is on your monthly payment, that gives you more empowerment to decide if you want to increase your offer. After we see a property, I always text Mitch in our group chat with the buyers, and I'm like, "Hi, Mitch, can we see what numbers look at 750 and 765? Because 750 is where we want to offer, but 765 might be where we end up. So let's see what that monthly payment looks like now so we can make a decision quickly later." And also, I know this is, goes without saying, but you do have to love the home. If you're rating the home a 6 and you put an offer in, you probably don't actually want that home. I think a 7 is the minimum that you should be at to really put an offer on a home, uh, because you still have to love the property. You're spending a ton of money on this property. You have to really love it. And it feels like it's something I don't have to say, but it's something I do have to say quite often to my buyers to make sure that they get the property that they really love. And no one's ever been sad after I tell them, I don't really know if you love this home, or would you rate it? Most of my buyers in this situation would be, asking different questions. And then they feel relieved. They're like, oh, I don't like it. I don't want it. How did you know? All right, let's get to the last part of what to avoid. All right, let's talk about houses. Okay, so if you're a buyer, a regular buyer, not an investor, not a multifamily person, you're just buying a home to live in. I do not recommend closing on a home with a tenant in place, okay? A tenant is not the seller. A lot of times we're closing on homes and the seller is still living in the property and then they're moving out after close of escrow. Common. Do they have a tenant, somebody who is not an owner of the property living in the home? They have a lease in place. You don't want to close with that tenant in place. You want them out before close of escrow. Unless you're buying a property where you want to keep the tenant. Don't let that happen. It's a dangerous situation potentially dealing with an eviction and all of this additional paperwork on the lease side of things. Also, don't ignore homes just because they need work. If you spend $30,000 on flooring, paint, and lighting in a property, I guarantee because the flooring and painting and lighting is bad, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get the money back. Double, at least, right? If you look at two homes and they're the exact same, but one of them has really bad paint, okay? And one of them has beautiful white paint that most people like. Well, this one's going to sell for way less than this one by say $60,000, but this one only costs $15,000 to paint. Well, I would buy this one for $60,000 less, put $15,000 in, and still be $45,000 cheaper than this one. That literally happened. Mitch and I opened escrow for our buyer last week on a home exactly like that. It had like dark chocolate brown paint. It was very dark. It is very dark. And the last home that was a model match sold for 700 and we're in escrow for 615.
Is this the
So,
Wang one?
yep.
Yeah. And it
Crazy
appraised at
deal.
what? And appraised at what? 660? Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
praised way higher. So, those are the things that us as agents know how to find a good deal and we'll give you the numbers to understand what that price is and what the value is. Um, Also avoid bad locations and layouts. You can't change those. A bad location is always going to be a bad location. And sometimes, like I kind of alluded to in the last slide, don't buy a home just to lock one in. Still love the property. As far as agents go, do not work with pushy agents. I've never met a pushy agent that's a good agent. I don't think that it's a real thing that exists. If you're a pushy agent, you probably have an agenda. You want somebody who can be an advisor to you, not just push you into a transaction. As a lot of times we work with buyers or sellers who were working with a pushy agent and they don't love that home, and then we have to resell it for them and help them find another property. You also don't want to work with agents who don't prioritize real estate. Um, an agent on a transaction also was telling me that they're not really an agent. They do another job. Well, okay, if you're telling me that you have another job and you're proud of it, that you're not a full-time agent, that also just tells me I could take advantage of you in this transaction. And my request for repair was a lot higher than it would have been if they were a smarter agent, because I know I can kind of like finagle and get a better deal for my buyers. They're telling me that there's money on the table by saying that. Also, working with family just because, look, at one point I was a new agent and I had never sold a home, and my family used me as their agent, knowing that I had the resources and the education and the mentors to help. However, some people just have family members who sell one or two homes a year. If you sell one or two homes a year, paperwork changes more than one or two times a year. You need somebody who has boots on the ground and understands what's going on. Have that family member refer you to one of their friends who is a good agent and work with them, and their family member still gets paid. Also, agents who have no background in your area. One of my friends hit me up and he was like, my family wants to buy a $10 million home. And it's not an area that I've ever sold a home in. And I'm like, look, I would bring somebody in. I could advise you on the real estate side, but I wouldn't be doing you justice if I was the only agent on that transaction. And they're like, really? You'd bring somebody in? And I'm like, yeah, this is a huge purchase for your family. That's crazy. If I didn't bring somebody in, it'd be super irresponsible. I don't know that specific community as well as they do. I've never sold over there. It's an hour away, even though I can give you my honest advice and opinion as a real estate professional. You could have two people help you. So that's important. Somebody who puts your needs and like what you're looking for above. I would love to do the whole transaction myself. It just wouldn't be right. Let's talk about lenders. 9 to 5 lenders. What time is it right now? It's 7. Mitch is on here just adding commentary for us right now. I'm probably going to talk to him after this about some of our buyers. Seriously, finding somebody who works when you need help is important. You guys probably have 9 to 5s for the most part, right? Or if you have a business, you're 24/7. And guess what? You need somebody who's going to talk to you outside of those hours because that's when you're available. Also, when are we putting in offers? We're putting in offers after 5 p.m. and on the weekends. That's when we need a lender to be communicating with us. And sometimes there's so much communication that goes on. You really need somebody who's there and on top of what your situation is. So that's important. If you go to a bank, you're going to get a 9 to 5 lender. You really need to find somebody who's a professional lender, not just like doing it on the side also. Like a bank, like I told you guys, a lot of times you have like no specific person representing you. If you like literally go to Bank of America, you get who's ever sitting at the table that day. They're not gonna, be there to really show up and represent for you. Or you might find the one needle in the haystack, but you want to be smart about who you're working with, right? It makes a difference. I actually haven't told Mitch this. I had a buyer who worked with Mitch, closed on a home with Mitch, and they also had the option. They met at an open house, another lender with a $20,000 grant. Okay. And they were like, hey, we're actually just going to keep working with Mitch because this grant is nice and all, but I feel like we're not going to get help and service and we're not going to get our offer accepted without him. And guess what? We wouldn't have. That was Arthur and Steph. And I was like, guys, I think that's a really good decision. You're looking at really competitive properties. And they kept working with Mitch. Did you know that? Pretty crazy.
I didn't.
$20,000.
Who is that?
Arthur and Steph.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Huh, neat.
So and that's like a ton of money, but finding people who you can work with. I honestly have to say I don't think they would have gotten the house with the other lender who was like not good. But a lot of times that's kind of like the situation with some banks. Not all banks, but some banks. And then you want the lenders to give you numbers. Let's see what the estimates look like. Let's see what the comfortability is. Let's run different scenarios. That's really important. Okay, to connect with us. If you guys talk to us, we'll also be looping you in with Mitch too. This is our Instagram and TikTok. If you guys want to follow along, lots of home buyer information. Um, that's where we're at. That's where we live on social media, sharing all of this info for you guys, but in bite-sized pieces. This was like a wave of information. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. Hey,
Hey,
man.
hey, what's going on, Keenan? Well, thank you guys so much. Man, that was a lot of information. I feel like now I'm an expert at buying a house. Okay. And step number one, I know is make sure you're working with the right team. So if you out there or are in the place where like, hey, I need to create a plan. This is, I think, is the team that we would love to help you out. Like I said, Mitch is in the comments. If you have questions, also, who else is in the comments on your side? I think is Joey in? Joey's
Joey
in,
and Jessica
Jessica's
are
in.
here.
Yeah, so if you have questions or you need to get in contact with them, definitely go ahead and ask questions today. Also, sign up for the home search with them. I also, if you are buying new construction, definitely get on Keena's list to make sure you're getting updates on anything new that's going to hit the streets, if there's a price reduction, or if any new phases are released. You want to make sure that you are available when all that stuff does happen. Also, with payment wise, reach out to Mitch, get to see the difference. Different. Should I go with a FHA? Should I go conventional? Should I go 5% down, 10% down, 20% down? Definitely talk to Mitch and see those numbers and empower yourself. All right. I think that's about it. Any questions? Please go ahead and ask in the comments. Here. What about having to head out? But appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Justine, Justine had a quick question. I
Yeah.
know I saw your message, Justine, and we were going back and forth. So something I just wanted to touch on with new constructions right now, our new constructions are more sensitive to economic changes than the average resale seller. So resale is like the homes you see on Redfin. New constructions are like communities of properties. Something to know is because they have these big communities and they're selling massive amounts of properties, they are way more sensitive when there's a price change because it affects them on a major level. And so those builders are usually open to offering more incentives and they're a little bit more understanding when there's like economic hard times. If you're not experiencing economic hard times, and I'm not, I'm just giving you my thoughts, you can still tell them that you are looking for a credit or you need a bigger credit in order to buy a property. And I think like this is an opportunity for you to go reach out to them and say, "Hey, look, I don't know if I can do this transaction. Can you guys help out? What can we do? What are the options?" Obviously you don't want to lose your deposit. You don't want to just back out of the transaction and keep that or have that be a problem. But if you're buying a new construction, we are noticing that we have a lot more negotiation power with the builders than we've ever had before. Lorraine, I saw your message about the realtor commissions, and I should have also mentioned that in my thing. Realtor commissions, a lot of the big headlines are that you as a buyer are paying your agent now. That is simply, seriously not the situation. We've not had that once this year, and we've sold like 40 homes this year. Not once has a buyer been in charge of paying the commission. So what's happening? Okay. On a national level, the National Association of Realtors has agreed, and there's been a federal ruling that all buyers need a buyer representation agreement with their agents, the same way that a seller needs an agreement. This is not a bad thing. This is a great thing, actually, because a lot of agents who are less professional agents, they're just kind of like showing homes, hopefully writing an offer. Those agents are actually leaving the market. And what's happening is the level of realtors is actually rising to like a more professional, serious group of people, which is great. That agreement, that buyer agreement goes over two things. One, as an agent, we have a fiduciary duty to you, same way a doctor or a lawyer do for you as your agents. Two, what's the compensation? Are you paying the compensation? Not necessarily. But do you need to know what the compensation is on every transaction? Absolutely, you do. So, in every state, there were different ways that compensation was shared. In California, you could see it on Redfin, you could see it on Zillow. It wasn't a hidden secret. In other states, you as a buyer wouldn't be able to tell if your agent was getting paid 4% or 1%. And do you think that that's going to affect a lot of realtors? Absolutely. Right. And so what's happening is we don't want realtors to steer buyers in any direction. What did I tell you about pushy agents? Why are they pushing so hard? They want that 4% compensation instead of the 1%. But if you, the buyer, have the information and you know what the compensation is, that actually changes the spectrum because there's transparency now. I don't think that this was a problem that we are experiencing in California. This is more of a problem that I've heard about out of state because we've always had transparency and we've had very clear um, and common compensation in California between 2 and 3% has been standard and it has pretty much stayed that way. But in other states, it was an issue, and this is now a federal law. What happens? Who pays compensation? Sellers are still paying compensation. When we write an offer for you, there's a box with a check mark that says seller is paying compensation. What is the compensation? And your agent is gonna fill in whatever they're charging as their compensation. If the seller says, hey, I'm only going to pay this much. Well, typically the bottom that I've seen here is about 2%. I've heard sellers try to offer less at like 1.5, but I would say it's pretty uncommon to actually pull that off now because buyers don't want to pay the difference. It's just being factored into the price. So you as a buyer are not paying typically. But it is a situation that could arise in which a seller says, I don't want to pay anything. Maybe I want you to pay my own closing costs for my own listing agent. That's also an option. But it's just an uncommon situation. Most of the time, sellers paying between 2 and 3%.
That
That
help
was
out,
a
Lorraine?
really great question, actually. That's the
Uh,
biggest change in real estate in like forever. Sorry, Min, go ahead.
no, no, that's I just want to see if hopefully that helps you out there, Lorraine. If anyone else has any other questions, uh, of course. Thank you so much, Kim and David, for commenting. All right, guys. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed it tonight. Keena, thank you to you and your team. Thank you, Mitch, for logging in tonight to help out as well. So definitely, guys, just know that tonight or tomorrow you will be getting an email with the slides, with the presentation and the guides. And like I said, once again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. All right. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.